So just to kick off, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jeremy Ferrugia. I'm one of the account directors here at Prospel. We're partnering with all these prospective employers and universities to power today's event. And I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to be here with such a fantastic panel. And we're here to talk about trading and investment banking today. So with this in mind, I'd like to start off by thanking Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand for working with us to make this event possible. So thank you to Chartered Accountants. And in addition to that, I'll be introducing all of our panelists. So from QIC, Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand, we have Guyan. Welcome, Guyan. We also have from Bloomberg, we have Ava. From Optiver, we have Christina. And from IMC Trading, we have Kitty. Welcome, Kitty. So I'll give you all a moment and like you to introduce yourselves, if that's okay, and tell us a little bit more about what your organization specifically does. We'll try and keep this section quite brief, as we'll get into the sort of meat and bones of it a little bit further down the track. So with that in mind, we'll start off with Guyan, if that's okay.
Absolutely, Jeremy. Thank you. So a little bit about myself. I'm Guyan Mendes. I started my accounting career as a graduate at KPMG. Spent about 7 years there in audit and insurance, working on a wide range of clients, and sort of found my feet in the consumer industrial markets sector, and then transitioned over to QIC, which is a completely different sector. It's in the financial services sector. But I suppose working at QIC, I work a lot in infrastructure investments, so it still keeps me connected with, my passion for that consumer industrial markets infrastructure area. And QIC itself is it's a government-owned fund manager. Mainly started off investing for the state of Queensland back in 1991, and sort of evolved now to having a vast array of private market clients as well. So, I really enjoy what QIC does. I love this space that we work in. And yeah, it's enabled me to really combine my passion with, my day job.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Guyan. We'll get into that a little bit deeper as we go. But Ava from Bloomberg, would you be able to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yep, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Ava Goh, and I'm actually based in Singapore. So I have a dual role in Bloomberg, first as a recruiter for the Australia and Singapore offices. And second, I'm also the team leader for the Asia Pacific Talent Coordinators team. So I have been at Bloomberg now for about 1.5 years, and was previously at a US investment bank for 13 years. So in terms of Bloomberg, Bloomberg is a 40-year-old private company with 170 offices globally. So our company is a financial data, software, and media provider, basically offering clients to a suite of enterprise solutions to help them create workflow efficiencies or to make critical business decisions about risk, investment, trading, markets. And the core product that we have is actually the Bloomberg Terminal, which most of the universities will have. So that's somewhere where you can get a lot of information from for even your own personal sort of like university research. So just to let you all know that from an entry-level hiring, we are looking for individuals who are apart clean from the financial markets, are also people who want a client-facing role to be a consultant to our clients and to help our business grow. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Ava. Next, we'd like to hear from Christina from Optiver. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Christina. I sit in the campus recruitment team here at Optiver. I'm primarily focused in hiring in our trading, our risk and our research space. And then we have a separate team who look after our tech hiring. I've been with Optiver for just over a year. Previous to that, had spent the majority of my career in US investment banks, similar to you, Eva. So for those of you who don't know who Optiver are, we are a leading global market maker. So our objective is to make markets fair, more transparent, more efficient. the better the market function, the better it is for everyone. So I can get into more detail if anyone has any questions on that. And similar, we're looking for intern and grad roles here at Optiver at the moment, and our roles are open.
Fantastic. Thanks, Christina. Kitty from IMC, would you be able to give us a bit of an insight?
Yeah, sure. Great to be here. Really excited to share some insights from IMC. So I've been with IMC Trading since 2015, working across the campus recruitment team, as well as some of the experienced hire strategies as well. Similarly to Optiver, IMC don't have clients, so we are trading with our own capital. That means we don't have to wear suits, so that bit's really nice. But also we are trading on over 100 venues globally, and we have offices here in Sydney, where we focus on trading across the APAC markets. We have offices over in Amsterdam for the Europe sort of focus, and over in Chicago for our Americas sort of strategies and trading. We share a lot of sort of best practice globally, but have a lot of autonomy of what we're running out of Sydney. So very little red tape, lots of very fast decisions, and lots of fun. And in a similar way, graduate roles, intern programs, and this is across both trading as well as technology roles, software, hardware, and performance.
Fantastic. So since you're already talking, Kitty, I'm going to pass the first question to you. The first question that I have for you is, what is the most important piece of advice that you give students aspiring to work within an organization within the trading and investment banking sector? So give us a little bit of insight. We know that it's a very competitive sort of industry, and so any sort of insights here for the 146 attendees would be greatly valuable. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So first off, obviously, you know, we are looking at grades, we are looking at your CV and your transcript, but it's not just about the grades. And it's really important that you can show a breadth of interests and passions that go together with all of your impressive grades. So think broad from that perspective. The second piece is do your research. So whether that is going into an internship and being really inquisitive so that when you get to the point of being a graduate, you've really explored options, you've explored environments to get a sense of what is the right fit for you. I think that's really important to do. And also just do lots of research before you go into interviews. I mean, I'm sure each of the websites that our sort of respective firms have on offer will have lots in the way of, you know, videos, days in the life, information around how we use technology, all the rest of it. So do your research to sound informed when you get to the point of being an applicant and indeed going into the interviews, so you can ask some smart questions off the back of it.
That's great, Kitty. Thanks for that. Ava, would you like to jump in and let us know what your thoughts are here?
Yeah, sure, of course. Kitty brought out really good points. And I think in addition to that, just recalling all the sort of interactions that I've been having with students, one advice that I'll give to all of you is do not limit yourself based on the major or the degree that you'll be graduating from. Because I think one common questions I get is when they do come is like, what do you think I can do? Do you think I can work in the firm or work in the finance industry? Because I'm not from a finance background. So do not limit yourself because of that. If you are keen in entering finance, fintech, I think the first thing you need to do is to narrow down to the type of role that you're interested in within that industry first. And after that, start thinking on ways on how you can demonstrate your interest in that area and how you can grow in your knowledge or skill sets for that particular area. So you can do it through either joining student societies that have like sort of relevant finance student societies, FMAA, etc., or taking courses in school that's related to the markets, finance, or keeping up to date just by your own reading on the markets, economic situation, and even speaking to, let's say, your seniors who are in similar roles now, just to understand from them better what are the things that they're doing, what are the skill sets. So with all this in mind, that's how you can gradually build, and following what Kitty advised as well, how you can prepare yourself for the interview.
Very insightful. Thank you, Ava. From there, Guyan, would you be able to share your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all very valid points. The only three that I'd sort of touch on from my perspective would be just try to be really open-minded, and it's a fast-paced industry that we operate in, and you know, superannuation funds in particular drive the growth of the industry, which is constantly changing. So being open-minded is very important. The second point is probably strive to demonstrate your ability to solve problems. I think that's a very important aspect in the day and age that we live in now. And finally, I think really showcase your ability to have passion in what you do. And that's very important, and particularly when it comes to culture as well.
Thanks for that, Guyan. That's great. Christina, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I think I would reiterate everything that's already been covered. You know, working in Optiver, it's a very competitive, fast-paced environment. What I think is important is for you to do your research on the company and the industry before you do speak to anyone. So I think that's really important and really evident in interviews for those who have actually taken the time to research what we do and what it's like to work here. And all those materials are available online. So you know, I think it's good to demonstrate that to get a good understanding before you come in.
Thanks for that, Christina. So in terms of the next question, it is, what is your organization specifically looking for in an application, and what do students need to show to progress to the next round? So with this in mind, I'll be putting this first to Christina from Optiver. Christina, would you like to share your thoughts here?
Yeah, so I think traditionally we had always looked for STEM backgrounds, you know, especially within the trading space, and that's something that we're kind of stepping away from this year. We're open to, regardless of your background, we're open to your application. We also do look at your grades, but we don't have like a certain bar in place. We take everything into consideration whilst we're reviewing your application. We're looking for students, you know, who do perform well and who do maybe do something extra outside of their university degree. So, you know, maybe they're part of a society, or they do extracurricular activities or sports or whatever it is. Ensure that you kind of include that in your CV, because it's important in applications for us. You know, previous experience in an internship, if you're applying for a grad role, is a plus, definitely not something you need to have. So we do look at, you know, all applications. We have a round of numerical testing to start off with. And then after that, we do kind of behavioral interviews and some more testing, technical testing at the end. So we're open to all students. We're actually open to international students this year as well. So yeah, I would say as long as you have a solid CV with good enough grades, then we'll consider you and we'll put you through to testing.
Great to see you so flexible. Thanks for that, Christina. Ava, would you like to jump in and share your thoughts around what it is Bloomberg's looking for in an application?
Yep, sure. So from an application perspective, similar to Christina, we are not limiting you based on the major or the degree that you're graduating from. We want to look for an individual, at least from the first step, which is your resume or your CV, who can indicate interest in the finance, fintech, financial market world. And we try to look out based on your previous experience. It doesn't have to be like a one-for-one related experience, but we try to look for transferable skill sets. So on your application itself, try to put things that you know the role that you're applying for is looking for, and try to sort of relate that back, even if it's from a different industry or a different role completely. So transferable skill sets. So that is the first part where we will shortlist you for further rounds interview. So for further rounds interviews, there's psychometric tests, there is pre-recorded video interview, there's face-to-face situational behavioral kind of interview. And so during those rounds itself, what we want to do is to assess your interest in finance. More importantly as well, the interest that you have in the role, the company, our products, and also to understand your motivation for this opportunity. So basically, why this role, why Bloomberg? And in addition to the above, and I believe the following few points will be something that all companies will look for, would be someone who, coupled with the interest and the right passion, this individual is also driven, resilient, problem solver, good communicator. So I think all those will be the additional thing to help boost up your individual interviews.
That's great, Ava. Really appreciate the sort of starting with why attitude as well, and knowing why a student would be passionate about an opportunity at Bloomberg. So I think that's really valuable. Guyan, would you like to jump in and give us a bit of an insight as to what you're looking for in terms of an application?
Yeah, I think Christina and Ava summarised it really well. There just a couple of things I'd add. I think for us, we really try to place value on the individual and really understanding or getting to know the individual from the application phase. So anything that sort of showcases in the application process authenticity is really valuable and is highlighted in that application. We also look to combine sort of the application with what we have is a sort of target operating model for our finance division, which is based on a 4 phases framework from Deloitte. So it really looks at, in a nutshell, individuals that aren't sort of, specialized in one area like technical skills or, strategic skills or whatnot. But it looks at people that have a sort of diverse skill range and can, you can then mold that skill set into different opportunities that arise across the organization in the longer term.
That's great, Guyan. Thank you. Kitty, would you be able to share what students need to show to progress to the next round?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if we look at the sort of trader-specific roles at IMC, it's not one type that's solely that we're looking for. Some of our traders are taking much more of an intuitive approach to make trading decisions. Others are relying much more on sort of automated strategies and might be coming out of that more sort of STEM background. So just as the guys have explained, even if 5-10 years ago we were saying solely it's the STEM sort of backgrounds that we're looking for, when we're seeing people coming out of finance, coming out of economics, where they can take that more intuitive view, really understand market dynamics and changes, there's absolutely a place for individuals with that sort of background too. The second piece is just as you go through the interview process, often there's not a set right answer in some of these interview stations, and it's being able to show some determination and drive that shows that they're going to be able to thrive in our environment. So absolutely be yourself, be true to your own passions and what you're good at and your skill set, but I think also show your thought process and show your commitment and drive through that problem statement, because that's a really good indication that you'll then enjoy the work and be able to be determined in it on the job.
Fantastic, Kitty. I think I'm considering a career swap. From here, what we might do is I'll put the next question to Guyan, actually. And essentially, I wanted to ask you, Guyan, for students who land a job with you, what advice would you give them to best survive and thrive in their first year? And please include what they shouldn't do as well.
Yeah, I think the first part of the question is probably the easiest to answer. And it's really comes down to 2 things from my perspective, and it's having the desire for continuous learning. And that goes hand in hand with, if you've got that attitude for continuous learning and you embrace it, you're always going to get an opportunity that comes your way. So that's probably the first thing. The second thing comes back to sort of what I touched on earlier is strive to solve problems. And it's really about your ability to break things down into sort of manageable steps and then execute on those steps. And execution really is what delivers value to an organization. So I think, that's probably the piece of advice I'd say to do. And the piece of advice I'd say not to do is probably, don't be sort of overconfident or I suppose cocky to an extent. Be modest in what you do, and I think that'll, if you can do that, then it'll get you far.
That's great, Guyan. Thank you. Ava, would you like to share some advice around their first year?
Yeah. So Bloomberg provides a really, really structured training for individuals that join us. So what I would encourage each of you to do is to maximize the training that we provide. Take time to really understand the process, the value of our products, ask questions, be proactive. And in addition to training, also network get to know different people from different teams, just so that you can connect the dot and understand Bloomberg as a whole and not just specifically to the role that you are doing. It's also important as well throughout the whole process to enjoy what you're doing. I think that really was showcased, because I think the more you enjoy what you're doing, the more you have passion for it, that the more I think that would drive you as well to want to go further. What I don't think you should be doing perhaps is to don't work alone or stand alone. I think sometimes when we first join a company, or when we just graduated, we have a lot of drive, which is good, but sometimes we just end up wanting to keep proving ourselves and keep sort of thinking, I need to do this on my own because I need to prove myself. But that's not going to be realistic, and that's not going to be helpful from a longer term perspective. We thrive and grow together as a team, as an organization. So work with others, ask questions like what I said earlier, and those things will help to also pave the way so that you have the good foundation for a longer term career.
That's really insightful, Eva. I really like that. I think that's great advice, not just for joining Bloomberg, but for life. You know, don't try and be a hero and do everything yourself. I think that's really great. Christina, would you like to jump in and talk about what advice you give to students in their first year at Optiver?
Yeah, so similar to Bloomberg, we have dedicated heads of education for tech, and then for trading, research, and risk. So we have a really robust training program in place to take you through the first few months of your graduate program. But it doesn't just stop there. You know, once you kind of join the floor as either a software developer or a trader, that kind of continues throughout Optiver. And it is kind of what you make of it. So you can take and leave as much kind of learning and development as you see fit. So I would say take advantage of the learning opportunities we have here. We have a dedicated team just for learning and development as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to take advantage of here. I would say don't stop learning, don't get too comfortable. Always kind of push yourself to learn more and to network and to ask questions. I think, you know, even the most senior of traders are still asking questions. Markets move so quick, things change so quickly. So just keep learning and keep asking questions would be my advice.
Fantastic. Thanks, Christina. Kitty, pass it over to you.
Always good going last, because you feel that you've agreed with everything and you're trying to come up with something different, right? But look, I agree what they say at IMC as well. Yes, there's the global training, there's local training. We have everything set up to succeed. 2 quick ideas. 1, be creative from day one. There may well be opportunities that you can see because it's fresh eyes that other people haven't seen, and you can make an impact from a really early point. So don't be shy to share your idea or your creativity. The second piece, coming a little bit to what Ava had said, I think people are often nervous about showing vulnerability. If they don't understand something, if they're not sort of really getting what's going on, they won't put their hand up and they try and hide from it. We're not talking about trying to expose people, but we want to be able to help. And I think with all of these sort of environments, we're wanting to support them as they're growing. And if we don't know there's something that's a gap in knowledge or a gap in experience, then we won't know how to fill it. So be open, be vulnerable, and throw yourself in.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kitty. So there was another sort of question that I wanted to throw out to all panelists. And it was very simple and straightforward, but I just want to give all of the 171 participants a bit of an insight. Which organizations are accepting international students at this particular point in time?
So Optiver is accepting international students.
Yeah, IMC too.
For Bloomberg itself, our Australia office, not international students, but because we have other offices across 170 plus over, and so we are more than welcome and happy to get the applications from international students for those offices.
Yeah, and on QIC side, I believe there's international students have opportunity to do internships and all, but I think more permanent sort of roles will require specific residency status to be met.
Great. Okay, thank you for sharing that. So in terms of pretty much the final question that I have for all of our panelists today is, and I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible, but it's in one sentence: why should students apply for your organization? above everyone else. And Ava, would you mind going first for this one, please?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Jeremy. So if you want to start your career in a global leading company that provides you with a solid, good foundational training, and also not just in terms of short term, but from a longer term career opportunity, mobility options, and if you also want to be in a client facing role at the get-go of your career, and most importantly, you want to make an impact to the whole financial market with an opportunity to face clients from both buy side, sell side, all different profiles, then Bloomberg is the place for you. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you, Ava. Guyan, would you like to go next?
Sure thing. Yeah, so I think QRC is a great organisation. It's one of the top 5 fund managers in Australia. Very unique because it serves both the Queensland government as well as private market clients across the globe, and the investments also span across the globe. So you get quite a lot of diversity. So if that's what you're sort of looking for, a diverse organisation with opportunities for growth, then QRC is the place for you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Guyan. Kitty, a few words from you about IMC.
Yeah, I think if you feel curious and genuinely passionate about financial markets, IMC is going to be able to support your journey to become both a really successful trader or really successful technologist with us. You're going to earn incredible money and you're going to have loads of fun as you do it.
Love it. Thank you, Kitty. And Christina, a few words about Optiver as well.
Yeah, so if you're interested in an environment where new challenges arise every day, and you want to make a tangible impact from day one, then I would say this is the place for you.
Fantastic. Well, look, I just want to say thank you to all of our panelists for joining us today. I really envy all of the participants and students that are watching this webinar purely because you have so many fantastic opportunities in front of you. There's a lot of competition in this space and there's some really fantastic employers. So just a really quick round of applause for all of our panelists today. I can't hear your applause, but I'll just imagine it's happening now. So thank you for that. With this in mind, I do want to remind everybody that from this particular point, in the next 3 minutes, we're going to be unlocking another 80 booths within the sort of overall careers super fair today. So the best process to do this is to, once this sort of webinar finishes up in a minute or so, what you can actually do is jump onto the main sort of business and consulting careers super fair page and click on the tab that says virtual fair home. Now, it's at that particular point in time that you can scroll down and you'll see a range of different booths. There will be a button that unlocks underneath each employer's sort of name, where you can jump in and out of each booth. Now, keep in mind that all employers have a set agenda that you can find underneath a different tab on the top left-hand side of the overall sort of website. And underneath each employer, when you click join that room, you'll jump into another sort of Zoom meeting room. So something just to keep in mind is that when you do jump into those rooms, make sure that your microphone is off, just, unless the panelists sort of ask for any questions. So just as a bit of a courteous thing. But it's with this in mind that if anyone has any final questions for the panelists, please pop it in the chat now. We do have 2 minutes that I'd like to make sure we take advantage of. But we haven't really had too much come through. So unless anything happens in the next 60 seconds, we might have to wrap it up there. Which looks like, here we go. We've got a couple of thank yous coming in. So thank you, everybody. But it's with that, we might just wrap it up here then. Oh, we've got a rogue question coming in. Let's see if we can fit it in. So given the success of remote working evidence during 2020, onboarding successful candidates, the option to work from alternate locations. Okay, really quickly around the panel, do we accept and do we have remote working sort of positions available? If any of our panelists would like to just answer that quickly.
I'm happy to kick it off. Yeah, the short answer for all QIC is yes, and I think most organisations in this day and age that we operate in would probably be the same answer.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's very fair. All right. Excellent. Fantastic. All right. Well, it's at this particular point in time that we are going to wrap up. Please feel free to jump into the employer booths from here and ask any questions in their designated Q&A time. So thank you everyone for coming, and thank you again to our fantastic panelists for giving us some great insights into the industry.